Disclaimer: this video will contain subjects of racism, transphobia, Islamophobia, mental health, and potential false accusations of harm against children. This video is suggested for viewers age 18 and above. The purpose of this video is not to bring hate to either of the individuals discussed within it, nor any of the marginalized communities they are a part of. The intention of this video is only to shed light on the mistakes made in this situation, so this is less likely to happen in the future. Do not abuse, harass, or bring any other harm to any creators mentioned in this video essay. Who is Jeffrey Marsh, and why has the very utterance of their names suddenly caused an all-out civil war on TikTok? For over 2 weeks now, it has been nearly impossible to scroll through the TikTok FYP or For You page without seeing at least 1 to 3 videos arguing whether or not Jeffrey Marsh is a groomer. Regardless of whether you have prior knowledge of who Jeffrey is outside of what you see in these videos, hearing the word groomer is sure to grab your attention and cause you to listen in. After all, most people want to put an end to any potential harm toward children, so if someone online is found to be a child groomer, many of us will do all we can to snuff them out quickly and efficiently. Before we delve too far into this video, I want to make a couple of things abundantly clear outside of the disclaimer that I gave before. One is an introduction. Hello, my name is Mads. I do some commentary stuff on my YouTube channel, but this is unlike anything I've ever done on here before. I had to do well over a week's worth of research for this topic because I wanted to make sure I had all of my facts straight and that I was getting the information correct. Videos like these can make or break creators, and I don't want anyone involved to lose everything. No matter who is wrong in this situation, I'm not looking to get them fired from their jobs. I'm not looking to have their families hate them. I'm not looking for people to harass them. Allegations like these are not to be taken lightly, but emotions often cloud the ability to fairly and accurately gauge whether or not an individual fits the criteria of what they are being accused of. There are 2 major parties in this particular accusation: Jeffrey Marsh and Shumarun Nessa, otherwise known as the Real Overload Comedy. As of the scripting of this video in early March of 2023, Shumarun has 7.1 million followers on TikTok, with a regular view count in at least the 6 digits. She rarely dips in views or subscribers and is well known for her comedy videos where she pokes lighthearted fun at her own daily life, uplifts people who are being bullied, and duets people she disagrees with on simple opinion-based matters like food preferences. Shumarun Nessa is a 33-year-old cisgender Muslim woman with a husband and 2 children living in the United Kingdom. Jeffrey Marsh has around 664,000 followers on TikTok, with a regularly steadily climbing subscriber count. Their view count, however, follows more of an ebb and flow than Shumarun's, depending on the topic of the video. Jeffrey's content is centered around being the positive and healing presence that many in the LGBTQIA community, particularly people who do not identify with the gender they were assigned at birth, may not have had while growing up. Jeffrey's style of video creation is very subdued and gentle, and they generally do their best to appeal to what is known as the inner child of the viewer. Jeffrey is a 45-year-old non-binary individual with a husband and no children living in the United States. So what is the accusation that's being made here? I said something about child grooming, but those are pretty big trigger words, so what was actually said?
Stop telling kids to go on your Patreon and chat to you privately without their parents knowing.
Well, Shumarun posted a video to her TikTok somewhere around February 22nd in which she accused Jeffrey Marsh of being a child groomer. While she did not begin by using those specific words, she heavily hinted at it in a stitch with Marsh. By using the words, "stop telling kids to go on your Patreon and chat to you privately without their parents knowing," she caused several people on TikTok to respond very negatively on both sides. On her side, you had her fans who had never watched Jeffrey Marsh's content before overloading their comment section with saying things like, "Why are you talking to kids? Oh my God, we knew that you people were like this. This is why drag is getting banned. This is why they're trying to take away transgender rights," and just all kinds of hate, death threats. If you can think of it and it's disgusting and hateful, that's basically what was happening in Jeffrey Marsh's comments section. And it didn't just stop with Jeffrey. This is where this kind of thing can become a problem. Likewise, you had Jeffrey Marsh's fans and even people who weren't even aware that Jeffrey existed beforehand but started catching wind of what was said, who are from the LGBTQIA community getting very upset with Shumarun and being like, dude, what the hell? Especially in the UK and the US right now, there's so much anti-trans legislature, and like it or not, yes, Jeffrey Marsh being a non-binary individual does mean they're part of the trans umbrella. Not necessarily fully transgender, but part of that umbrella, because being non-binary does mean you do not fully align with the gender that you were assigned at birth and grew up as. In many cases of accusations of grooming by content creators, public opinion tends to sway drastically in one direction. Take Onision as an example. While he still does have a small yet dedicated fandom on Twitter and any other platform that still allows him to have an account, almost everyone agreed that he was not a safe content creator for children to be watching. Between his videos in which he made comments about people's bodies, including underage girls, and his dubious relationship with his ex-partners, the internet almost unanimously agreed that he needed to be taken down quite a few pegs in order to protect underage people online. This is what I'm talking about. With Onision, there were plenty of receipts that people brought forward when they were making the accusations against him and against his husband. They showed things like old messages. They took video and audio recordings of the way that he treated them that were completely unedited, so you could get the full picture. And in the case of Onision's husband, there were people who proved with messages and screenshots of conversations with him that he had sent explicit photos to them when they were underage, because if you do that on a platform like Facebook Messenger, it shows the date. There was no denying what those people did. This is the kind of evidence you need in order to lodge this kind of accusation against them. With the case of Jeffrey and Shumarun, however, public opinion is very divided. Several people have agreed with Shumarun's opinion that the way Jeffrey speaks to their audience is creepy and predatory, but several others have taken Jeffrey's side due to Shumarun's lack of evidence and invasive tendencies, including posting videos of Jeffrey that were meant to be private conversations between them and the people who have subscribed to their Patreon.
In an effort to help you understand why it's so easy for people to immediately believe someone is a groomer, I'll be using my home state of Pennsylvania to explain just how bad the issue of child grooming really is.
According to the Pennsylvania Department of Human Services, statewide substantiated reports of child abuse increased from 1.8 per thousand children in 2017 to 1.9 per thousand children in 2018. Sexual abuse remains the leading category of abuse, followed by physical abuse. That is a massive amount of sexual abuse against children going on in a single state. I know 1.9 per thousand might not sound like a lot, but hello, even one child is way too many. And when you think about the fact that several states have well over 1 million people living in them, 1.9 per thousand is way too high. I wanted to highlight this particular graph and statistic because, as you can see, these reports are substantiated reports. That means that there was evidence that is admissible in court. A substantiated report means that the person in question either admitted to the abuse or that the court found enough evidence that is provable that they were able to determine that it 100% happened. The outrageous amount of sexual abuse that underage people are subjected to is appalling, and it is understandable why people get so emotional about this topic. Most people want children to be happy, healthy, and safe, so when the general public is informed that someone could be bringing harm to children, this sparks immediate outrage and cancel culture. However, this immediate outrage can be dangerous. When one creator accuses another of grooming or pedophilia, the first thing we as consumers of this content should be doing is looking for undeniable proof. We need proof in the form of unedited photos where the accused sent inappropriate pictures to minors. We need proof in the form of unedited videos where they had highly sexual conversations geared toward minors. We need proof in the form of screenshots of inappropriate conversations from the minors who were groomed by this individual. This goes back to the whole thing with Onision's husband again that I was talking about. That's a perfect basis of comparison for this. There was stuff that was undoctored. There were pieces of evidence that you can't look at them and say anything else was going on. Like, it was what it was. It was right there in 4K, as they say. Like, it was undeniable. The difference between Onision and his husband and what Jeffrey Marsh is being accused of is that in the case of Jeffrey Marsh, As of right now, there has been absolutely no proof whatsoever that they engaged in any sexual or romantic conversations with any minors at any point in their career. None of the forms of evidence that I just mentioned have come out at all, and that's a big problem because while I have been doing research for this video, it was difficult to find even basic information like Marsh's age and marital status. Because almost everything that came up now, when I typed in Jeffrey Marsh or Jeffrey Marsh TikTok or Jeffrey Marsh TikToker, was page after page on Google of articles, even in mainstream news like Newsweek, asking the question, is Jeffrey Marsh a groomer? Is Jeffrey Marsh a pedophile? Is Jeffrey Marsh having inappropriate contact with underage audience members? And the problem with that is that this could destroy their reputation, their brand, and any career prospects they could have for the future. Marsh is a public speaker. Marsh is an activist. A majority of their money comes from being an online personality or from being invited to events where they are meant to speak. If someone with a venue is unaware of who Marsh is and they try to book an event there and the owner of the venue looks them up to determine whether or not Marsh is the type of person that they want to book, that person is going to see endless pages asking whether or not they're a groomer. And in most cases, just seeing that is going to be enough for them to say, nope, sorry, you can't host your event here. The risk is too high. They're going to want to stay out of any potential controversy because if they end up in any controversy, they could end up losing out on future events. And what that means for Jeffrey Marsh is that now every single venue, regardless of size, that looks them up, sees these articles, sees these TikToks being made against them, all of this controversy surrounding them, and they decide that they're not going to let them book an event there, those are jobs that Marsh has lost out on now. Even if people aren't actively talking about it anymore in a month, this is something that will follow Jeffrey Marsh for the rest of their life. Now, I want to discuss some of the pushback that Shumaru Nessa has gotten as a result of this. While several people are siding with her and claiming they are only trying to protect innocent children, there are numerous reasons why many in the LGBTQIA community are speaking out against her. For starters, most of the people taking Nessa's side are arguing that Jeffrey is at fault because underage people could be getting through their Patreon and seeing the adult-centered content there. That doesn't make much logical sense though, does it? Underage people can easily just lie about their age online. I mean, pretty much everyone who started using the internet under 18 lied about their age for some reason or another, whether it was because you wanted to watch a certain movie on Netflix or something, or you wanted a MySpace page because all the cool kids had MySpace and you didn't want to feel left out. You've lied about your age on the internet for some reason or another, but the problem is that's not the content creator's issue to deal with. There's very few websites on the internet that actually ask for something like your ID or a credit card to prove your age. Usually it's just a little tick box that's like, are you over 18? Yes or no. You click what you want, or you put in a fake birthday and away you go. Now, in terms of Jeffrey Marsh's Patreon, there's something you need to understand. It has gone through some changes since this controversy arose. However, Jeffrey Marsh always intended their Patreon to be for people 18 years of age and older only. And you need to supply a credit card because unless that content creator is offering free content of any kind, you can't even see their little status updates without paying whatever amount they want. If an underage person gains access to Jeffrey Marsh's content, they somehow got a hold of a parent or guardian's credit card or PayPal account in order to pay for Jeffrey Marsh's lowest tier. So somehow they're paying $4 every single month, and it clearly says to Patreon on your bank statements. I've subscribed to people on Patreon before. It says what it's for, and somehow the parents never noticed. That is not that content creator's fault. And I'm not just talking about Jeffrey, I'm talking about any content creator that predominantly makes their content for adults or has an adult website. It's just like OnlyFans. Like, if your 17-year-old son steals your credit card, makes a fake account on OnlyFans, and subscribes to Belle Delphine, that's not Belle Delphine's problem. She's not inviting them. She's not telling them, oh, come hither, young children. Look at my OnlyFans. They stole your card or your PayPal, and underage people can't even make a PayPal, so it would be a stolen account if they pay through that, because to have a PayPal account, you have to actually provide legal proof of who you are. You need to show real identification. It's the parent's problem, not the content creator in question. You are responsible for what your children are doing online. Apart from the fact that it makes absolutely no sense to be angry with Marsh over the fact that people may or may not be accessing content they're not supposed to have access to. Another reason the LGBTQIA community is so frustrated, and our allies are so frustrated with Shumaroon, is because there is a distinct double standard going on here. I'm going to be showing you a few TikTok videos that beautifully showcase the receipts, the evidence, the proof of the double standard going on in this case. So pay attention to what they're saying, and I'll return to you afterwards.
To all those people, if Jeffrey Marsh was a straight man, would you be defending them?
Interesting question, Overload Comedy. Seeing as how you are a straight woman who has 13-year-olds and 14-year-old admins on your Discord, yeah, trying to villainize Jeffrey for talking to 12-plus-year-olds while you literally have a Discord where you do the same. Just for proof, how did you meet Overload Comedy? And here, your admin, who is 14. Huh. Why would you talk to a 14-year-old on a Discord away from their parents? And something even more suspicious about your Discord is why you have 13-year-olds talking about being single on a Discord with people like yourself, 40 and up, 30-year-olds, 20-year-olds, and other teens. Why do you have a Discord where teenagers are going and talking about being single to 40 and 30-year-olds?
Another quick update on Jeffrey Marsh.
Your big complaint while reading from their 18 plus Patreon is that Jeffrey Marsh is grooming kids by having them in an 18 plus chat which has no children in without their parents' consent. So let's talk about you for a second. These are screen grabs from your Discord server, with the youngest user being 12 years old. How many were there? 100 or something? 111 13-year-olds in your Discord? That's interesting. Your Discord is also filled with adults. So you have a bunch of 13-year-olds in your Discord without adult supervision while simultaneously having unknown adults interact with them. Not to mention, a lot of the 13-year-olds are talking about being single. You also have two 14-year-old moderators. Do their parents know? So let's get this straight. Jeffrey Marsh is a danger for having an 18 plus Patreon because kids can get around the paywall. But you have an open Discord for 13-year-olds and adults to intermingle? I've got the evidence. I'm more than willing to share it. The only reason why I am not is because the names and information and private discussions about their single life in your Discord to adults is with minors, the youngest being 12. What I'm going to provide you now are some statistics regarding child safety online, because if you have a child under the age of 18, you are responsible for keeping that child safe. So here's some advice, here's some statistics, let's get into it. Pertaining to Discord, around 130,000 removals in the second half of 2020 rose to 238,000 Discord servers in the first half of 2021. Now, aside from TikTok and Discord, the most common places right now for groomers to engage with kids are taking place in the following apps and websites. Whisper, calculator percentage. It's disguised as a calculator. The app is actually a secret photo vault. Omegle, Yellow, Ask FM, Hot or Not, Burn Book, Wishbone, Kick Messaging, and Instagram.
You did a lot of comedy for a while, but I don't think you understand how this works on TikTok. You don't get to just open a can of worms and put a target on the back of a trans person and create violent and dangerous videos like you did. You do have the opportunity to attempt to make it right. You can take down the videos, you can apologize to Jeffrey, you can tell your 7 million followers that you were wrong, that because of your bigotry against the trans community led you to doctor all those clips of Jeffrey and create a false narrative about them?
So I just got an email saying, pretty much a threat. They've given the school details and everything. So, yeah, my daughters are involved now in this. I was getting not very nice videos and now emails. You just get on with your life, I'll get on with mine. You guys want me to say I'm sorry? Fine, I'm sorry.
As soon as she was called out for being the very thing she claims to hate, she put out a very passive-aggressive note on her Discord, then swiftly took her server down. You can probably see why that wasn't a very good look for her. Now, do I think that having two very underage people act as the moderators for her Discord server and having underage people talking in her Discord about things like being single and stuff means that Shumaroon is a groomer? No. I don't think anyone thinks she's a groomer because of that, because Shumaroon herself was not having any romantically or sexually charged conversations with these underage people. However, what people need to understand is that by having 14-year-olds moderate her Discord that had adults all the way up to in their 50s, talking in it, she put them into a very, very dangerous situation. She put them in a situation where they were being subjected to incredibly adult conversations that they lacked the emotional maturity to handle yet. There should have been a Discord server for people who were teenagers and a Discord server for people who were over like 21 or something if she wanted to do something like this. For anyone who doesn't understand yet why this was such a big deal, moderators exist because a content creator has gotten so big that they cannot physically keep up with the messages and comments being made on their accounts. So they appoint people, sometimes with payment, sometimes without payment, depends on the creator, to read all of these comments and messages for them and decide what's allowed to be posted and what isn't. Which means that they were seeing things that were deemed appropriate as well as things that were not deemed appropriate. And as I mentioned, and as those TikTokers mentioned, there were even a couple of 14-year-olds in that server who were talking about the fact that they were single in front of 50-year-olds. There's no way for Shumaroon to have known what the intentions of the adults in that server were. And I can almost guarantee not all of them had pure intentions. Unfortunately, every single social media platform has disgusting people in it who mean to cause harm to children. That is part of the reason people on platforms like TikTok and YouTube are starting to get a little more up in arms about family vloggers and stuff, because they're like, hey, you don't need to be showing every single facet of your kid's life, especially them in like bikinis and stuff, because there's creeps on here. You need to be careful and keep them as safe as possible. No one's saying don't share anything. No one's saying that underage people shouldn't be allowed online. We're just saying, again, double standard. She's trying to claim that underage people lying and bypassing every protection Jeffrey Marsh had put in place to keep children safe was Jeffrey Marsh's fault, and that they are like a groomer or a bad person because of that. But it's perfectly acceptable for her to have appointed two 14-year-olds to moderate adult conversations. What Shumaroon did in her Discord is much more dangerous to children than anything Marsh has done. Every time Marsh has tried to appeal to children, they have always asked permission from the parents first.
So I'm going to show her video that I believe is altered, that she has shared with her 7 million plus people, and she's now like quadrupled down on. And then I'm going to go look for those videos on Jeffrey's page today. And today, when I make this video, it is March 6th, 2023, and if I don't find those videos I will personally extend you an apology, and I will even tag her in this video to apologize to her, because it's horrible that I would accuse somebody of altering content and using it to be queerphobic. That would be very wrong of me. So let's see what she posted as her truth when deciding to bring Jeffrey up in front of her 7 million followers to defend the actions that she had taken.
Hi, kids. Hey, kids. I want to talk to the kids. Hi, kids. Hey, kids.
Okay, so there you have it. There is the snippet of her video inside of the larger video, but that is the compilation of footage that she decided to put together to explain to you that Jeffrey is obviously trying to get kids. And now, let's see if I can find those original videos to see if they were altered or not.
I want to talk to the kids. Parents watch the video and then hand the phone over to the young kids. Hi, kids. So parents watch the video and then go back and watch with your kids. Hey, kids. So parents watch the video and then come back and watch with your kids and your stuffed animals.
So, obviously, I will not be extending you an apology.
Jeffrey Marsh has posted so many videos, thousands upon thousands of videos. Very few of them are geared toward children, and those that are exist in a singular playlist that says that it is family-friendly content. It always starts with, hey kids or hi kids, swiftly followed by an appeal to the parents to please watch the video first. Then, if they deem it appropriate for their children, they can invite the children back in to watch the rest of the video. I don't see any problem with that. I don't understand how anyone should see a problem with that. That person is telling the parents, you decide if you want your kids to see this content or not. A key problem with this entire argument has been that people don't seem to understand what grooming actually is. That word has become so overused that people chuck it in the direction of anyone they don't like now. I mean, just look at the statistics I gave you about just Pennsylvania alone earlier. It's obviously an issue. Sexual assault does happen to children on way too often a basis, so we need to be able to know that this stuff is being taken seriously. How can you say that you take children's safety seriously if you're just lobbing the word groomer at anyone that you disagree with online? You're cheapening the word. According to the National Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children, grooming is when someone builds a relationship, trust, and emotional connection with a child or young person so they can manipulate, exploit, and abuse them. Children and young people who are groomed can be sexually abused, exploited, or trafficked. Anybody can be a groomer, no matter their age, gender, or race. This is the problem here. Grooming is a very, very serious thing, and in order to be a groomer, you have to have intention to sexually exploit or abuse that person. Just talking to an underage person does not mean you have intention to sexually abuse or exploit them, and you can easily tell if someone has those intentions by reading the conversations that they've had with underage people. Children need adults that they can trust and look up to that aren't just their parents, because their parents don't know everything, especially when it comes to the LGBTQIA community. Unfortunately, a lot of us have parents who are not a part of the community. And even if they do try to be open-minded and understanding, they don't understand what we're going through. We need to have adults who are like us, who have had to live through the things we've had to live with, that we can talk to so we know it's going to be okay one day. Sexual assault does happen to children on way too often a basis, so we need to be able to know that this stuff is being taken seriously. How can you say that you take children's safety seriously if you're just lobbing the word groomer at anyone that you disagree with online? You're cheapening the word. According to the National Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children, grooming is when someone builds a relationship, trust, and emotional connection with a child or young person so they can manipulate, exploit, and abuse them. Children and young people who are groomed can be sexually abused, exploited, or trafficked. Anybody can be a groomer, no matter their age, gender, or race. This is the problem here. Grooming is a very, very serious thing, and in order to be a groomer, you have to have intention to sexually exploit or abuse that person. Just talking to an underage person does not mean you have intention to sexually abuse or exploit them. And you can easily tell if someone has those intentions by reading the conversations that they've had with underage people. Children need adults that they can trust and look up to that aren't just their parents, because their parents don't know everything, especially when it comes to the LGBTQIA community. Unfortunately, a lot of us have parents who are not a part of the community. And even if they do try to be open-minded and understanding, they don't understand what we're going through. We need to have adults who are like us, who have had to live through the things we've had to live with, that we can talk to so we know it's going to be okay one day. So why does Marsh make the content they do, both on TikTok and on Patreon? Marsh has made it clear on numerous occasions that they have not been treated well throughout their life, and that this abuse damaged their inner child. Now that they have gone through a long healing journey, they want to speak to their audience's inner child in an effort to help them overcome the trauma they have endured due to society's mistreatment of LGBTQIA people. You just heard a term that may be new to you a couple times in that sentence, inner child. If you have not heard the term inner child before, which is most often said by people in psychology and by people who have experienced trauma, you may think of it in literal terms. You may honestly think people are talking about children, people under the age of 18. That's not what inner child is.
We were all at one time children, and the child you once were did not just up and vanish to be replaced by a perfectly formed, always responsible adult. Indeed, most of us act very much like children, at least now and then. It's in the moment you have a temper tantrum over a parking ticket, or fall into a panicky sense of abandonment when you learn your partner is going off for a 3-week business trip. And some of us, if we had a tough or loveless childhood, are actually children most, if not all of the time. We might look like an adult, but inside is an angry 5-year-old who trusts no one and is secretly calling the shots. In psychology, this part of your unconscious that represents the child you once were and manifests as a sort of other personality in social interactions is often referred to as the inner child. Nessa deserves to feel the consequences of her actions, but racism is never the answer.
Now, something that I do want to do for Shumaru Nessa is speak out against the bigotry that she's been experiencing as a result of what she has said online. Shumaru Nessa having issues with Jeffrey Marsh has nothing to do with her being Muslim or POC. Shumaroon being a bigot against the trans and non-binary community has nothing to do with her being a Muslim or POC. And anyone who has said anything against her that is racist or Islamophobic is simply a bigot and a racist. They're just disgusting people. You have no true argument here, and you are not welcome in any social circles that I am a part of or that the people that I converse with are a part of. That should never enter into this kind of conversation. Every single marginalized group has bad actors in it. Every single marginalized group on the planet has people in it who are out to do harm to other communities. And guess what? They also have truly amazing and beautiful people who would do anything for people in or outside their communities, even if they don't understand them. And most people float somewhere in the middle. But here is where you can't deny there's bigotry on the part of Shumaroon Nessa, because although she does live in the UK and she may not fully grasp what is going on in the United States, as soon as people from the LGBTQIA community started commenting to her that she needed to be more careful and that she needed to rescind her initial joke video instead of doubling down on it, because what she was saying could cause further harm when there's so much nasty legislation happening, she should have looked into it. It takes a very fast Google search to find out what's going on here. Right now, there are over 400 pieces of anti-LGBTQIA legislation being used against our community in America, and a vast majority of these pieces of legislation are meant to eradicate the trans non-binary community. Whether these laws get passed or not, the fear-mongering and misinformation being spread about us by right-wing media and TERFs in an effort to encourage Congress to pass these laws is hurting trans and non-binary people even in states where no harmful legislation is being pushed. There is no safe space right now. In the first couple of months of 2023, at least 6 trans people were murdered in the United States, and even more took their lives as a result of the endless hate lodged against us here. When this level of genocide is being lodged against a marginalized community, we need to exercise extreme caution when bringing forth any accusations that are commonly used to oppress that group. LGBTQIA people have been accused of being child groomers and pedophiles for decades. It is low-hanging fruit that people automatically believe regardless of lack of proof. Now, does all of this mean that I think every single trans and non-binary person is innocent of crimes against children? No, of course not. Like I said before, every group has bad actors in it. But when you look at the statistics, a vast majority of people who have sought to harm minors are not from the LGBTQIA community, and even less are trans, non-binary, or drag performers. Now that we have established everything that has happened so far, I want to draw your attention to the cancel culture side of this. The thing is, there's various tiers of cancel culture. Some of them work, some of them don't. Real cancel culture can and does actually happen as long as we, the consumers, follow through with it. What is happening is we have a creator with over 7 million followers who has weaponized her platform against an extremely marginalized community, did absolutely nothing to put an end to any of the harm that marginalized community felt as a result of what she said about it, and even doubled down several times and contributed to the harassment. She mentioned the fact that she was going to be taking a break from social media and that she didn't want people to harass each other on either side anymore.
Hello everyone, I hope all of you are well. Yesterday I posted a video where I was very upset regarding an email I received. And since then I haven't posted, and I wanted to take a break from TikTok. But today I've come back on TikTok because I got some messages on my WhatsApp regarding people getting threatened. Those of you who are threatening other content creators because you are wanting to support me, don't. Stop it. I don't want you to do that. Please, I'm requesting you, those of you who support me, don't do that. That is something I do not want at all. There is so much negativity in this world right now. We do not need communities fighting with each other. At the end of the day, we are all human beings. It doesn't matter what community you come from. We are all human beings. And hopefully we want the same thing, to live peacefully and not fight. And even if you don't support me, you shouldn't be threatening. So just everybody stop threatening each other, please. It doesn't matter what community you are from. Everybody stop threatening each other, please. I don't want to talk about this topic anymore, and hopefully you guys respect that. Also, if you are wanting to talk about it, please don't, because I feel as though this is going to just spread so much more hate regarding different communities. So please, no matter what community you are from, please don't talk about it. Don't threaten anyone. Let's just try and live peacefully together. I don't want any ill will on any community, whether it's the trans community or the Muslim community. I don't want any problems, anyone hurting anyone, nothing like that, please. I'm sorry. And I would like to just stop talking about it. Thank you. I'm going to be taking a break. Thank you.
And many people said this was too little too late.
You guys want me to say I'm sorry? Fine, I'm sorry. Please don't.
Yeah, dog, I'm gonna pass on that apology. You used your platform to accuse a member of my community of grooming. Then the truth came out that you're the one in Discord interacting with minors.
What has been found about Nessa is that she has a strong pattern of doing something morally questionable with her TikTok when she's attempting to sell a product. I like to call this the Kim Kardashian effect. We've all seen this happen. Nobody thinks about or talks about Kim Kardashian for a few months. Nobody watches her social media posts. Nobody pays attention to her TV shows or anything. And she decides, I want to sell new perfume, or I want to sell new hair products, or whatever she wants to hawk that month. So what does she do? She does something openly racist, or that she knows is going to upset a large community of people, because even though she's going to get a bunch of hate for it, a lot of people are going to go and look at her social media, and if she is getting engagement, she's getting paid. A lot of people realized this was happening with the Real Overload comedy, in this case case because in the first couple of videos where they stitched Jeffrey Marsh and tried to claim that they were a groomer, the description said nothing about like, here's a hotline in case you are being sexually abused at home or something, or here are some resources in case you know of a child who's being hurt by adults in their life. No, what was in her description instead? Buy my makeup palette. Yeah, that doesn't really sound like someone who's in it to help the kids, does it? And not only was she trying to sell a makeup palette with this stuff, it turned out that she stole them. She bought the products themselves from a drop shipping website, and she stole the entire palette design all the way down to the individual shade names from a small woman-owned business in the UK.
I'm so upset. We have been completely ripped off by this creator.
I got so many colors to choose from, so click right here and build your own palette. Oh,
She's literally copied every single shade name of ours.
This is a clip. Receipts between this small biz and her at end of up.
Even the graphics are exactly the same.
There have been multiple people on TikTok who have shown that every time Nessa has said something harmful, such as what she said about Jeffrey Marsh, or when she joked about school shootings in America, her descriptions often end up showcasing some kind of product she's trying to sell. She knows these jokes are going to be going way too far, and it will cause whoever is standing behind her to do whatever it takes to lift her back up, so they buy her stuff. She has even done blackface on more than one occasion on her TikTok, openly, for everyone to see, and apparently thought that was hilarious. This all links back to that double standard that people have. Apparently, Jeffrey Marsh is not allowed to even say hello to a child while walking by them on the street, or they're a groomer. But Nessa is allowed to make multiple videos on her platform where she addresses children as well. And she's allowed to have a Discord server that is run by children and has children in it. When she does that, it's somehow okay, because she's not a member of the LGBTQIA community. Jeffrey Marsh is apparently, in Nessa's eyes, not qualified enough to speak on topics that they choose to speak about in their videos, or on their Patreon, but she's allowed to speak about anything she wants, no matter what the subject is, without any credentials. It has even been proven that she has lied about how she got her old job, as well as what her job qualifications are. Before I continue the video, I really want to make something abundantly clear. The reason so many people are upset that Shumaru Nessa lied to get her job is because a large amount of the content she created for comedic effect was centered around being a pediatric nurse. Several people during this drama found out that not only was she not a pediatric nurse, at least not for long enough to have the amount of videos she did on the content, she also lied to get her job as a nurse in the first place. She lied about a disability and ended up losing consciousness on the floor of the hospital during her shift. This kind of lie is incredibly dangerous because it can cause people to put their trust in you when it comes to what they think you're qualified to speak on. There's been a huge issue on TikTok, especially with people who claim to work in the medical field, over-exaggerating what their qualifications are or straight up lying about it, and it is terrifying. TikTok exploded during the height of the pandemic when people were in quarantine. People were looking toward medical professionals on TikTok because a lot of people have lost their faith in the medical field. They've been gaslit by their doctors, or they've had things forced on them that they were not comfortable with. There's a million and one reasons why people don't trust their doctors anymore. So finally finding a content creator who is in the medical field that you trust and you care about meant a lot to people, especially when they were watching people around them dying left and right. So lying about this is just making that fear of the medical field even worse. It's going to make it so people stop listening to anyone in the medical profession because they're going to be like, they lied. They lied. Why should I listen to any of them? How can I possibly know if a doctor is really a doctor or not now? Never put that much faith in someone you see online. Please excuse my extreme comfiness at the end of this video. I am getting ready for a convention right now, and it got weirdly cold in my office today.
but I wanted to give you an update on this video because a lot has happened in a very small amount of time. When I first started filming that video, it was the very beginning of March. It is now the very end of March, almost April, and a lot of developments have been had. Most of it was simple back and forth between Schumaru Nessa's fans and Jeffrey Marsh's fans, or at least their defenders. Stuff that happens in any controversy. It wasn't really worth putting in the video. However, a couple of things definitely are. For one thing, Schumaru Nessa never truly took the break from TikTok she claimed she was going to take. She claimed in both apology videos, if you can call them that she was going to be leaving the application for a while because she just needed to take a step back. She didn't like the way that things were going anymore. Well, for about maybe 2 days, she did technically leave TikTok, but she was posting on her YouTube account.
Identified as
For those of you who are trying to feign victim and pretend as if trans people coming out to say that we're not taking this shit anymore and we're going to call out and expose the people that are threatening violence against our community, are you getting death threats pretty consistently? Or is it just the people that you're targeting? None of you understand the danger that you are as you continue to perpetuate lies against an entire community now. Because that's how these things start. They target one person, they generalize enough, and then when people come out to say, no, that's not what's happening, then they're also labeled and lumped in with the same lie. Because people either don't care about the queer community, about harming us, or they're just in too deep now, and it's really hard to come out and say that I was wrong and I shouldn't have made those videos, and that's totally a lie. You should go and protect that person. It's hard to do that, so they don't. And the lies continue, and the harm continues. And it escalates until something happens. Either someone is very harmed, right? Or an authority steps in to do an investigation like they're doing now in the UK and in Canada. And it's not just Comedy Overlord that they're investigating, it's everyone that was involved in spreading this disinformation. There's enough evidence out, enough objective, tangible evidence that you can go and see for yourself to know exactly what you're perpetuating. It's up to you now to decide what path you're going to take. Are you going to continue spreading lies about an individual that is also harming an entire marginalized community, or are you going to stop doing that and even come out to say, I was wrong about that person? Don't harass them. Don't send them death threats. Leave the trans community alone. Are you going to be that person and actually protect people? You decide.
Can somebody please explain to me why a guy dressed in bondage clothes is next to a child?
Oh, hooray, kink at Pride discourse, and it's not even May. I thought you wanted to go back to just doing comedy. Everyone should have known the second that you duetted Ben Shapiro's video while you were attacking Jeffrey Marsh. It should have been clear this was going to be a pattern. Welcome to Times Square, one of the most touristy places in the world. As a New York City tour guide, I can tell you that this place is full of families and children, who I promise have no expectations of seeing things like this, or this, or this. And yet, we're not here having a discussion about it, are we? Even though it's happening every single day. Pride is a singular event where someone might expect to see something, because a huge part of queerness is counterculture. Because while society banned us generally in bars and public places, kink spaces were one of the few places we could exist and have community. Leather bars and their inhabitants were some of the people who physically fought for our rights. You don't want your kids around that? Don't take them to Pride. Or take them to a part that is explicitly family-friendly. Clearly, those parents decided to take their kids there. They didn't go themselves. Also, to a child, what's different between that and this Christian children's VHS? I am so tired of non-queer people expecting LGBTQ people to parent their kids for them. We're supposed to be not only responsible for parents' decisions, but when people kick their kid out on their ass for being queer, we are there to also catch them and parent them. Society tries to deny queer people the right to be parents, but constantly expects queer people to parent for them.
Now, obviously, as a creator with a large subscriber count, She knew that the people on TikTok who are speaking out against her were going to find out she was posting elsewhere, and they were going to see what she was posting. Regardless of whether you're one of the people who wants to try to argue, oh, that wasn't about Jeffrey Marsh, though, she was just making a joke video about her husband, or whether you think it was about Jeffrey Marsh, I really don't care. Whether it was about them or not, it was inappropriate given what's going on right now. People were telling her one of the main reasons they were so upset about how she has responded to this issue is the fact that a large amount of us in the queer community have gotten real death threats. Not people saying unalive yourself in the comments, not people saying I hope you die. People actually sending creators on TikTok emails where they say they know how many kids they have, they know where they live, and they're coming for them, and they're coming to eradicate the trans population on TikTok. They don't want trans people there. That is a real death threat. That is a problem. And I understand as well as anyone else that creators do not have full control over their fans. That is understandable. Fans are going to do what fans are going to do. However, it's the fact that she barely told them to call off their hunt. She did one bullshit apology, honestly, where she was like, oh, I want us all to live peacefully. But then right afterwards, she made that video on YouTube, clearly making a joke about hoping that a group of people who follows her kills someone for her. She knows exactly what she's doing. She's not an idiot. She knows what that looked like, and she knew that it would drum up more controversy. And in my opinion, again, this is an opinion. She hasn't said anything about this. I don't know for sure. But in my opinion, given her past and the way she's responded to this issue, I think she knows that the more she upsets us, the more her fans go wild for her, and the more positive attention she gets from them, she can get them to do just about anything for her then. And I think she is reveling in that. I think she loves the fact that she has that much power over this little army of people that she's grown on TikTok and YouTube. Another thing I want to bring up is that as of today, March 28th, 2023, Jeffrey Marsh has yet to come out with any kind of response. They have not said anything to Schumer and Nessa that any of us have been made aware of. They have not said anything on their platform, and that's that. They have made other content, just the normal content they would have been making anyway. And what's interesting about this is that I was following Jeffrey Marsh before this. I didn't watch every single video, but I have seen in the past that when things happen like Fox News gets a hold of one of their videos, or some right-winger decides to start mass attacking them, Jeffrey Marsh does generally make a response. It follows the same kind of peaceful, calm energy that most of their videos do. However, they do call these people out and explain why they are wrong. This is the first time I have seen Jeffrey Marsh choose not to respond to someone who has something negative to say about them. And of course, the silence is causing a lot of speculation. On Schumer and Nessa's side, they're taking it as an admission of guilt, like, oh, they have nothing to say to defend themselves, that means they're guilty. Like, that doesn't make any sense. I dare you to try to use that in the court of law, you know? There are a couple of theories as to why Jeffrey Marsh has chosen not to speak on this. First theory is just that they realized this was bigger than most of the drama that surrounded them in the past and wanted to just pretend it didn't happen so that it would hopefully just blow over quickly and they wouldn't have to deal with it anymore, which I can understand that. But that's not what I personally think is happening. I am on a different side of the theories wheel, if you will. What I think has happened is something similar to a couple of the creators that Schumer herself has attacked and that her fan base has attacked. You see, Schumer Nessa herself decided to absolutely try to demolish queer and trans creators on TikTok in their comment section. She was actually personally, going to their comments, accusing them of things, telling them what horrible people they were. And obviously, when her fans see her in the comments, getting her feelies all hurt because trans people don't want to be treated like shit by her, wow, no fucking way. Yeah, they made everything even worse for these creators. And as a result of this behavior, Shimru Nessa has been given multiple cease and desist letters by various creators' lawyers. She's thought this is a big joke. She's been waving the cease and desist letters around on her platforms, laughing at them, making a mockery of them. And the ironic, darkly ironic part of her behaving that way is cease and desist letters don't mean you're about to get arrested. Cease and desist letters do not mean that, you know, anything bad is immediately happening to you. They are simply legal representation telling you something you're doing is inappropriate, their client does not appreciate it, and if you do not stop within a specific time frame or do a certain thing like deleting videos or something that that person wants, you will be sued by them. It's a threat. By waving these letters around to her fans, making a mockery of them, and expressing that she understands exactly what they are, she's basically just already proven herself guilty. And if any of these people who have sent her these cease and desist letters decide to take her to court, she has completely screwed herself already, because she has made video evidence for these people that she understands what the cease and desist letters are, what they entail, and chose to ignore them. That's probably the single stupidest thing you can do when you get one of those. It's better to just be quiet and move on. And a slightly sadder portion of the end of this video is that Hatter, this creator that I showcased a couple of times throughout this video, Hatter I chose to showcase because he actually is in some variety of cybersecurity. That is his job. He understands all of the ins and outs of security on the internet, of keeping children and other people safe on various social media platforms, and he understands the legality of what is doxing and what is exercising your right to find out specific information about someone to keep yourself safe. And that is what he has predominantly been using his platform for throughout this entire thing. Now, the problem is that you've seen a couple different accounts of his in this video. That's because on his first account, where most of this information was coming out, and he first mentioned the fact that Shimru Nessa had a Discord full of underage people who were interacting with adults, Nessa herself started just comment bombing him non-stop and directly accusing him of calling the authorities on her in an effort to ruin her life. To which Hatter tried to respond to her that he never voluntarily offered up any information to authorities, and he did not. She was trying to make the claim that he just sent information about her in to try to get her arrested. That isn't what happened. What happened was he mentioned on his TikTok that he had the evidence and was happy to share it, but chose not to because there were children involved, and that he didn't want the personal information of these people getting out, which was, I think, the right decision. Then authorities approached him and said, we are lodging a case against Shimru Nessa's Discord server and the adults inside of it who were interacting with minors. That was a very key piece of evidence that she was keeping out of her side of the story that Hatter has expressed, and other people that she has tried to destroy have expressed. That the authorities said the people who are actually in legal trouble right now are the ones who were in her Discord server, who were interacting inappropriately with minors, because it apparently was happening. It's very telling and very strange that Nessa has gotten upset to the point where she had her fans mass report Hatter's account to the extent that it was deleted. It's gone. Like, I don't know if he can get it back or not, but all of the information is gone. I'm glad that I screen recorded some of his videos and kept them, because, yeah, they're just not on TikTok anymore. He does have them backed up and saved elsewhere, which was smart. But she's after the second account too. Even on his second account, she is still commenting to him regularly, and he, along with another creator, have expressed that in their cease and desist letters to Nessa, she is not supposed to be speaking to them at all, but she's especially not supposed to be speaking to them about the Jeffrey Marsh situation, and she is choosing to ignore that and continue to make comments on their accounts about the situation, still trying to drag them about it, still trying to make it sound like all they want to do is hurt this poor innocent lady.
Looks like I need to say this again. There's an awful lot of people crying about their inability to infiltrate my comment section and to continue abusing those of us standing against the lies, standing up for what's right. So I will say it again. We have been advised by the legal team to not interact with certain people. Frankly, I'm done interacting. They're certainly not welcome in my comment section. We are officially a month into this now. It's far too late in the game to plead ignorance and continue pushing a false narrative. We have annihilated every single lie, proven that the videos used were edited. People spewing hate and vitriol, and those having a visceral reaction to the very real fact that we were able to zero in on these lies and the intent, are not welcome on my page. That doesn't mean we're admitting defeat. Quite the opposite, actually. We are getting messages from people watching this go on that want to hurt themselves. All because people want to paint a false narrative and wish this lie into real life. They legitimately want this aha moment to feed their egotistical sides, admitting to everybody they actually want this person to be capable of atrocities against children. Just for their I told you so moment. That isn't going to come. Your judgments will not suffice in achieving what you want to achieve. Jeffrey is innocent. Their existence makes you uncomfortable. That is your issues, not Jeffrey's or ours. We are simply collecting evidence now. And every single statement that we come across of people pushing this false narrative will absolutely be used in this case. So all you Haiti Perrys, I suggest you cope, because you're not welcome on my page. Much less in my orbit.
And what is frustrating me is I made an entire segment of this video where I express the fact that regardless of how you feel about Nessa and her followers and what she has said about Jeffrey Marsh, there's no excuse for racism, xenophobia, Islamophobia, anything like that. And I stand by that. However, something disgusting on her behalf and behalf of her fans is the fact that anyone who is defending Jeffrey Marsh or themselves at this point has said is the truth. They have shown facts and evidence that Shumarun Nessa was engaging in the same behavior that she accused Marsh of, that she had a platform with children on it where adults were interacting with them inappropriately enough that authorities are now involved in this matter. That was it. And she just kept saying, please stop talking about this, even though Jeffrey Marsh's defenders were only still talking about it because they were defending themselves against her and her fan base who were trying to destroy them. You're allowed to defend yourself when people are coming for you. These people are still begging her to stop to this day because whether Shumarun Nessa stays on TikTok or not, whether she just deletes her account and pretends the whole thing never happened and goes to YouTube instead, whether she leaves the entire internet or continues on with normal comedy as though none of it's ever happened, the fallout is much worse this time than anything she has ever done. Because Shumarun Nessa chose to use her platform of over 7 million people to attack a member of a marginalized community that is facing unprecedented violence right now, literally for over a month. There's been barely a queer person on TikTok who hasn't been attacked by her fans and told that they hope that these laws go through and they hope that we get killed here. And like I said, do full-on doxing in their comments sections. My advice to any of you who are on TikTok or even YouTube, any application, when I first opened any of my social media accounts, the first thing I did was go into the list of banned words and I put my home address, my legal name, and as many legal names of people that I know know as I could. I even put the county that I currently reside in, because you just never know when people are going to try to do shit like that to you because they're angry with you. So that's unfortunately the only update I have right now. It's still actively going on. It's still mostly just back and forth. If anything of note happens, I'll make a video, but other than that, I'll just make sure that in my community tab on YouTube, I'm explaining to you any important updates that are made in this case. I just think it's really unfortunate. I think that it all just boils down to a comedian saying something really inappropriate at the worst possible time and getting embarrassed that she didn't realize she misunderstood what certain words actually mean, like inner child and stuff, and instead of truly apologizing and trying to make it right, her embarrassment caused her to cause further harm. And it's not the first time it's happened, probably not the last time it's going to happen. It's just unfortunate. But that's all I have for this video. I hope it was informative to you. I would very much like it if you shared it to get the word out, not for me, but for Jeffrey Marsh, because I want us to continue to be a voice for marginalized people when someone is doing something like this to them. But until next time, do something that makes you happy today, so long as you're causing harm to no one else, and I'll see all of you again soon.